Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight without sugarcoating it. Your age is not the problem. Your mindset is. Somewhere along the way, we decided that age gets to control our ambition. Too young, too old, too late, too early, all of that is noise. And if you're letting noise run your life, you're already losing. Some of you are sitting here thinking, I'm too young, nobody will take me seriously. Others are thinking, I'm too old, I missed my chance. Both of those thoughts are lies you repeat to make yourself feel comfortable with not acting. Comfort is the enemy. Growth lives on the other side of discomfort, and age has nothing to do with it. If you're young, congratulations, you have time, energy, and the ability to fail without it breaking you. Use it. Learn faster. Try more. Stop waiting for permission. Nobody is coming to tap you on the shoulder and say, now it's your turn. You take your turn by showing up and putting in the work when no one is watching. If you're older, listen carefully. Experience is not baggage, it's an advantage. You've seen things. You've survived things. You know what doesn't work. That's powerful if you stop being embarrassed about starting again. Starting over is not weakness. Staying stuck because of pride is. The real issue isn't age. The real issue is comparison. You look left and right. You scroll through your phone and suddenly you're living someone else's timeline. That's a trap. There is no universal schedule for success. There is only your effort today. And effort compounds no matter how old you are. Time is either the greatest advantage you have or the biggest excuse you hide behind. Most people look at time as pressure, like a ticking clock reminding them of what they haven't done yet. But time isn't chasing you. It's working for you if you know how to use it. Being young doesn't mean you're unprepared, and being older doesn't mean you're finished. Time multiplies effort, not age. When you're young, time gives you permission to experiment. You can try things, fail publicly, look foolish, and still recover. That freedom is priceless, yet so many people waste it by waiting to feel ready. Readiness is a lie. Skills come from repetition, not confidence. The people who win early are not more talented. They just start earlier and stay curious longer. If you're young, time is telling you to move, not to wait. For those who are older, time becomes misunderstood as a disadvantage. Society convinces you that if something didn't happen by a certain age, it never will. That thinking is dangerous because it ignores what time has already given you: perspective, emotional strength, and experience. You've already paid the price of mistakes, learned lessons the hard way, and developed judgment. That makes your next move more informed, not weaker. Time has sharpened you, not slowed you down. The truth is that time doesn't reward intention. It rewards consistency. 1 year of focused effort can outperform 10 years of overthinking. When people say they don't have time, what they usually mean is they don't want to prioritize the work. Time always reveals priorities. If something truly matters, you make room for it regardless of your age. Time also removes the illusion of overnight success. What looks like sudden wins are usually years of invisible effort stacking up. That's why time is an asset. It compounds whatever you feed it. Feed it excuses, and you'll get regret. Feed it action, and you'll get momentum. Age only measures how long you've been alive. Time measures how long you've been showing up. And that's the only measurement that actually matters. Blaming age is one of the easiest ways to avoid responsibility because it sounds reasonable and nobody questions it. Saying you're too young feels humble, and saying you're too old feels realistic. But both are just polished excuses. Responsibility is uncomfortable because it forces you to admit that your current situation is the result of choices, not circumstances. The moment you accept that, everything changes because now you have control. Most people don't fail because they lack opportunity. They fail because they wait for perfect conditions. Age becomes a convenient story to justify waiting. If you're young, you tell yourself you need more time, more knowledge, more confidence. If you're older, you tell yourself it's risky, embarrassing, or pointless to start again. These stories protect your ego, but they also trap your potential. Taking responsibility means understanding that nobody owes you understanding, support, or validation. The world doesn't care how old you are, it responds to value. If you bring skill, effort, and consistency, you earn attention. If you don't, age won't save you. Responsibility strips away the fantasy that success is given. It exposes the truth that success is built daily through choices that are often boring and uncomfortable. There's also a hidden cost to blaming age. It creates entitlement. Young people feel entitled to patience, and older people feel entitled to results. Both are dangerous. Patience without action leads to stagnation, and expecting results without effort leads to bitterness. Responsibility demands that you earn your progress at every stage of life. When you stop blaming age, you stop waiting for permission. You don't need approval to start learning, building, or trying. You don't need someone to tell you the timing is right. The only question that matters is whether you're willing to do the work today with what you have right now. Responsibility is powerful because it removes fear disguised as logic. Fear says you might fail. Responsibility says failure is part of the process. Fear asks, what will people think? Responsibility asks, what will happen if I don't try? One keeps you small, the other moves you forward. The moment you replace excuses with ownership, age loses its power over you. What remains is effort, discipline, and the freedom that comes from knowing your progress is in your hands. People love to believe that success follows a clean, predictable timeline, but real life doesn't work that way. We're taught to respect ages and milestones as if they decide when we're allowed to win. Graduate by this age, settle down by that age, succeed by this age. The problem is that effort doesn't recognize calendars. It only responds to action. Your birth year doesn't wake up early for you. It doesn't practice your skill. It doesn't take risks or make calls or fail and try again. Effort does. Two people can be the same age and live completely different lives because one chose consistency while the other chose comfort. Age stays constant. Effort changes outcomes. What you do every day matters more than how long you've been alive. Small, disciplined actions repeated over time outperform talent, connections, and timing. Most people underestimate how powerful daily effort is because it doesn't feel dramatic. It feels boring. But boring done consistently becomes extraordinary. There are people who start late and pass those who started early because they work with intensity and focus. And there are people who start early and waste their advantage by drifting without direction. Effort is the great equalizer. It rewards those who show up regardless of when they begin. When you focus too much on age, you start negotiating with yourself. You tell yourself you still have time, so you slow down. Or you tell yourself you're running out of time, so you panic. Both reactions distract you from the only thing that actually moves the needle: execution. Effort brings clarity. Action teaches you faster than thinking ever will. Effort also builds confidence. Confidence doesn't come from feeling ready. It comes from proving to yourself that you can keep going. Every time you show up, you strengthen trust in yourself. That trust is far more valuable than any age-related advantage. The truth is brutal and freeing at the same time. Nobody is keeping score of when you started. The only score that matters is whether you're doing the work now. Your future doesn't care about your excuses. It responds to your habits. When effort becomes your focus, age fades into the background. What remains is progress, momentum, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you're earning your path one day at a time. Comparison quietly destroys more potential than failure ever could. The moment you start measuring your life against someone else's progress, you hand over control of your motivation. Instead of asking what you should be doing today, you start obsessing over where everyone else is. That shift drains energy and replaces action with anxiety. Social media makes this worse by turning highlights into standards. You see success without context and assume you're behind. You don't see the years of confusion, rejection, or luck that played a role. You only see the outcome, and you compare it to your beginning. That's not honest math, but people do it every day and then blame their age for the gap. Comparison also warps your sense of timing. When someone younger succeeds, you feel late. When someone older succeeds, you feel slow. Either way, you feel inadequate. That feeling has nothing to do with your ability and everything to do with perspective. There will always be someone ahead of you and someone behind you. Looking at either one too long keeps you stuck. The most dangerous part is that comparison makes you chase the wrong goals. You stop listening to your own interests and strengths and start copying paths that don't fit you. That leads to burnout, not fulfillment. Success achieved on someone else's terms never feels satisfying because it was never yours to begin with. Your only real competition is the version of you that refuses to show up consistently. That's the battle worth fighting. When you measure progress against your own past, even small wins feel meaningful. Momentum builds when you see improvement, not when you see perfection. Letting go of comparison doesn't mean ignoring the world. It means learning without self-punishment. You can admire someone's success without using it as a weapon against yourself. You can study what works while still honoring your own pace. The moment you stop comparing, age loses its grip. You're no longer late or early, you're just moving. And movement, no matter how small, is what creates growth. Most people don't struggle because they lack ideas. They struggle because they wait too long to act on them. They convince themselves they need a better plan, more information, or perfect timing. In reality, they're avoiding the discomfort of starting. Waiting feels productive, but it's just delayed fear. Action is the fastest way to learn. You can think about something for months and still know less than someone who tried it for a week. Experience teaches lessons that planning never will. Mistakes give feedback. Movement creates direction. Without action, ideas stay theoretical and confidence stays low. Perfect plans are comforting because they promise safety, but safety doesn't create progress. Progress comes from imperfect moves made consistently. Every successful path is messy when you look close enough. People adjust as they go. They don't wait until everything makes sense. They move first and figure it out along the way. Action also builds momentum. The first step is always the hardest because it breaks inertia. Once you start, energy follows effort. Small actions compound into habits, and habits shape identity. You don't become confident and then act, you act, and then confidence shows up. Waiting until tomorrow has a hidden cost. Tomorrow turns into next week, then next year. Time passes whether you act or not, but only action leaves evidence behind. When you look back, regret rarely comes from what you tried and failed at. It comes from what you never attempted. Action doesn't require clarity, it creates it. You don't need to know the entire path. You just need to know the next move. One call, one post, 1 hour of focused work. That's enough to start momentum. When you choose action over perfection, excuses lose power. Age stops being relevant because you're no longer waiting for the right moment. You're building the moment through effort. And once you start moving, staying still becomes the only real failure. Your age does not define your potential, your actions do. Time is neutral, effort is powerful, and excuses only slow you down. The moment you stop blaming age, stop comparing your journey, and stop waiting for perfect conditions, you take back control. Start where you are, use what you have, and move now. Because success doesn't ask how old you are, it asks how committed you're willing to be. Thank you.